I'm gonna go ahead and get these people let in real quick. Yeah. How's everybody today?
Very well. How are you, sir?
Good, good.
Good, good.
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good.
Great. How are you? How's everybody?
Excellent, excellent. Good to see
Hello,
you.
fam. Good to see everyone.
Good to see everyone.
Good morning, everybody.
There he is, Mr. Moore.
Good morning, Mr. Norris.
Yeah.
He took up the whole hour last week, didn't he?
What?
Took up the whole hour last week, didn't he? An hour and a half.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yes.
So y'all want to hear about John Hoffman opening up a group with a small business plan today? Put a one in the chat if that's what y'all want to hear today. Here's John Hoffman. We're gonna ask him some questions, so you know we're gonna talk about it. Talk about him opening his group with his small business plan. Ask him a few questions surrounding that. And then if anybody has any questions, you can just throw them in the chat while we're talking. YouTube, that's for you guys as well. And people on YouTube, if you want to ask any questions, just throw it in the chat. I'll see it on my side and I'll ask the question for you. Sharanda normally monitors the chat while we do everything. So she normally picks up the questions and sees them and she'll throw them out there. So hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day. We look forward to starting your week off good on the CDLP side. So we're gonna go ahead and get started here. I'm gonna turn it over to Sharanda Ivy first, her introduction, and I'll do a quick introduction, and then I would, then John will do a quick introduction, then I'll do a quick introduction, and then John we'll talk to John about his story here, so that we can get moving and find out what he's doing out here in the field. All right, Sharanda Ivy.
Here it comes. All righty. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Sharanda Ivy. I'm here in Byron, Georgia. Been with Legal Shield. This is our 10th year with Legal Shield. We're 50K ring earners here at Legal Shield. CDLP certification trainer. Been recognized as field trainer of the year for twice. I get them confused, 2021 and 2019, but twice with earning the Ladies of Justice Award, top small business opener. We qualified this year as Sapphire Elite Associates, and we've earned the 1,000 Production Award, over 1,000 Production Award, headed for the 2,000 Production Award with Legal Shield, and but just focused on the commercial driver space. Get up every day, definitely speaking with with small companies about our services and how we can help. This past week, I opened a personal group myself, and I think I actually assisted about 4 associates, 4 or 5 groups with associates this week. So people are out there definitely opening groups. Companies are definitely needing our services. And so we just got to keep, sharing that word. So make sure you're out there making those conversations because people really need our services to help stay out of those audits for real. So, I do host an accountability call on Thursday night. And a lot of those individuals that I helped this week last week open those groups are definitely making some major moves. So, so if you need some field training, definitely feel free to reach out. The accountability call starts at 8 o'clock now versus 9:30. We go about an hour with that. And just reach out if you want to get on that call, but it is accountability. So those individuals on there share the things that they are definitely, doing in the field and having a mastermind conversation with other associates. So with that, I pass it over to John.
All right, good evening, everybody. John Hoffman, I'm the West Coast version of the certified field trainer, West Coast version of Sharanda Ivy, I guess you might say. And I've been in Legal Shield. This will be my 16th year coming up. I've been in the trucking tire business for most of my life, actually in the tire business. I got tired of the tire business. It's a little bit of an inside joke with that. But that's when I came across the trucking industry and the needs of it. And then when I came across Legal Shield, I go, well, this is great. I have a whole customer base that I can go after, and there's on my own business as well too. So when I saw the need for it, I went into it and focused primarily on small business and commercial driving plans. And I've been like Sharanda in the Sapphire Elite, I guess is what we qualified for last year. Going to try and do that and maybe get across lines to the Emerald Elite, which is the top 100 of the company. And the way to do that is with group, and you do that faster in CDLP probably than any other business I think that Legal Shield has, is with the CDLP and the small business plans. That's probably the fast track. Okay, Robert.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. All right, so Robert Dunbar, real quickly, been with the company 14 years, been a trainer for about 8 years with the company, and I'm 100K ringer. I have 250K ringers on my team. I have enjoyed working every area of Legal Shield, from networking to group training in different areas with the company, and really just want to help people get to the next level. What we like about what we do here on Monday nights is we look at the side of CDL where research is involved. We're understanding your prospect better. I guess that's the best way for us to put it here on our Monday night, is that we're helping you understand a person or company that you're prospecting, so that you can deliver the services better because you understand exactly what their needs are by doing the research on that side. So thank you guys all again for joining us. And of course, it's going to be a testimonial today, and we're going to ask questions during that testimonial, talk to one of our CDLP certification trainers on the West Coast, who you just heard introduce himself, Mr. John Hoffman. And this is still a learning point. This is still a place where you can take notes and you can understand exactly how to do it, because that's what we're going to do, right? Put a 2 in the chat if you are the person that likes to learn how to do the actual activity. I'm gonna do a quick sidebar here real quick, quick sidebar. Go ahead and put a 2 in the chat though, but quick sidebar. Daryl Stanley, and anybody else that's dealing with what Daryl Stanley is dealing with now, where your screen is messing up on your Zoom, is turning colors, glitching at the top. I went through that process, Daryl. You're gonna have to get rid of that new Zoom update and go back and get the old one, because the new one is messed up, just so you know that. I went back and forth with them for a couple of hours about that. So if you're having glitch problems with your Zoom and you're on here, just know, just get rid of the new one, because they had you update. Go back to the old one, because the new one don't work right. So I'm gonna save you some time. I'm gonna save you a headache on that. So yeah, that's what you're gonna have to do to fix that. So everybody wants to do what? We want to open up groups and service our members, right? Pretty much that's what we're here to learn to do. So I think the testimonials are the very best thing to do, and the very best time for you to take notes, because this is somebody telling you exactly what they did from start to finish on opening up a group. Anthony Norris did a fantastic job last week of doing that interview and us talking to him about exactly what he did to open up that group, because this is what we need to know, right? We don't need to know how I'm on the leaderboard, I got this done, I got that done. We want to know how. We want to know what you did from step A to step Z, so that we can go in and do the same thing, because those things are duplicatable, right? Whatever we're doing to open up a group, anybody else can do to open up that group. It doesn't matter whether John has a background in tire sales or any of those other things. those may help him somewhere, but he's opening groups the same way everybody else can open groups, the same way Sharanda does. That's why on Thursday nights, the people that get on that call, because it's a real live accountability call, and people that on that call are making calls, not on that call, they're not making calls on that call, but the people who are on that call are making calls when they're not on that call, so they're actively working the business. So that advice, that masterminding that they're doing works because they are doing real-time things. Does that make sense? Put 3 in the chat if that makes sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to my good friend, Mr. John Hoffman, so he can tell you what he did from start to finish, and then we will ask him some questions. Remember, put your questions in the chat so that Sharanda or myself can see them, and then we'll go ahead and present those questions so John can get those answers. So John Hoffman, I'm gonna turn it over to you, brother.
All right, thanks, Robert. So I also want to share a success story in Legal Shield with another group that I have that you can use, put in your library when you talk to trucking companies, because that's a very effective story. And I'm drinking my truth serum, my shot of Blanton's bourbon. So you can ask me anything. I can't tell a lie. All right. So how I got this group.
I wasn't expecting that.
All right. So if you've ever taken my CDLP training, which is happening this February 11th coming up, I talk about how to single out customers, how to talk to companies that really need to hear our message. And that was one of the companies that I targeted. It was a company with about 40 drivers, and they just got fined last month about $20,000 from their audit that they had survived, or if you want to call it survival, paying $20,000. But there was very fresh in that owner's memory. And this was an owner that was not an English-speaking first owner. He was an Indian-owned company. And I walked in there with his SMS report and a little report on, I just saw you got fined by the DOT. And I'd like to talk to you about a product that we have that you maybe avoid that in the future. And he took my card and my information. He said, I'm going to have my wife call you. And before I actually walked back to my truck, she was on the phone. She called me like in 30 seconds. She wasn't in the office. She was at her home raising her 2-month-old baby. And she was very interested in what I had to say. But it was a process with her. It took me 3 weeks to get this group opened up because, people want to do the research nowadays, I guess. So she probably Googled Legal Shield, I would imagine. I didn't leave her anything Legal Shield identified. I just left him, that orange sheet that we talk about in the training, a copy of his SMS report. I also bring a copy of another company that shows examples of adjudicated citations, what it would look like on their report, and my business card. And because I didn't get the formal meeting, I didn't leave anything else about the program or what it does. So it was a lot of phone calls. I had to call her at a specific time when she had a nanny raising her 10-month-old baby, but she runs the bookkeeping end of the business. He's just there, I guess, as an owner and a figurehead, I guess, talking to the drivers and the mechanical issues of the company. But she's in the day-to-day operation of the background of the business with the paperwork and dealing with the bills and the drivers and everything. As a matter of fact, they even have a gentleman in India that they work with that handles a lot of their CSA and data Q violations. And I was wondering, how's it working for you? Because they didn't have any activity on their report at all as far as any success. So I've been talking with him and telling them, how to use our attorney to, get some of that success, and to use even maybe Kathleen in Florida, who was on our 3rd annual training. If you listen to that, she is an expert on data Q entries. But after I've emailed her, I want to say maybe a couple applications, dropped one live one off, a physical application off. Then I finally got to talk to their safety manager, who was not an Indian lady, but a Native American lady who spoke English, who happened to have a Legal Shield membership from Primerica. And she was very happy with her service. So that is actually what convinced her to get the Legal Shield membership, or to consider looking at it. But she had an outstanding issue right away that she wanted to know if we could solve with her. And that's how I got the business plan first before I got the group open, because she still didn't realize the value to their drivers. You know, she had an immediate need. That was probably driver created. The driver had an accident in another state in Missouri. And that was about the same time that they were giving birth to their child. And that took precedent over what was happening with this truck. But they forgot about it. They left it there. So it was in the storage yard occurring charges daily, to the point where, you know, they were getting in touch with that tow yard and even made a payment to offset some of the accrued charges. And they finally got a notice that the tow yard had applied to get the mechanics lien on the truck so they could auction it off. So that's the issue they're going to use Legal Shield for first before I got the group opened up. And I didn't let them know right up front, you know, because you ignored this, you're going to find out what your rights are, but you might be too late. You know, you have to prepare them for that failure because they just didn't reply fast enough. But I told them in the future, you know, when this happens, you're going to, you know, be able to make a call to an attorney, and we're going to find an attorney for you in that state to help you with those issues. But now let's talk about your drivers, you know, because those are the ones that actually causes the problem to happen. And that's what caused the audit. That was what caused the $20,000 fine. And they have nothing in place to prevent that from happening again in the future. So that's the process. I got the group to open. I got to actually meet with them tomorrow. I'm going to sit in their waiting room and talk to the drivers as they come in, because they're 48 state drivers. They go across country. So I just have to hit them as they come in. I did forward her the Legal Shield TBC comparison that I created. That's on the Facebook page. And I did also leave her the survey that I created for CDLP also too, because she actually pulled all of her drivers, and all of her drivers have a legal plan now. Just none of them have Legal Shield. You know, of course, my response to her was they have this service and they're paying a lot of money for it versus what we have. And in some cases, it's exactly the same attorneys, but why are they paying more for that service? They don't need the roadside assistance. They don't need the fuel card program that TVC offers because they're company employees. So let's save them some money and get them the services that we have. And along with that, if they like paying that price of $50 a month, we can include a life events plan, which will cover everything else that comes across their needs. So a lot of these companies that have immigrant drivers, okay, they come from, you know, India or Mexico, or you know, in my research, I'm finding some areas of the countries specialize in different ethnicities. Like in the Midwest, there's a lot of Eastern European and Russian owned companies there, so I imagine the drivers are the same there too. But they have immigrant issues, immigration issues. You know, they probably have landlord issues, bill collector issues. They probably have warranty issues, insurance issues. You know, those are the topics, you know, that you want to hit them with. You don't want to really talk to them about wills or free court hours, or you know, some of the things we talk to the regular groups about, because they don't really matter to them. We want to talk to them about what really matters to them. Those are, you know, tickets, you know, bill collectors, immigration issues, wage garnishment issues, IRS tax issues. Those are the items that they are getting hit with, and that's what I focus on when I talk to them. So after we got the group opened up, you put my phone on silent. You know, we set a date when I can go in there and start talking to them, and I said to them, you have to not tell your drivers unless you're going to fringe it. You know, you have to steer them in my direction and let me do the talking. Because a lot of times when you go open a group, they're going to say, well, they'll talk to their drivers. Well, we don't want them to do that. Okay, we know that's not going to lead to any memberships at all. When we talk to the drivers, it's a little different story, because we can deal with their issues. We can talk about our membership and our plan and how it works, and share some stories of how it's worked for other companies. And so that's how I do my enrollments with those companies that are 48 states, because you're not going to get them to go do a safety meeting where they got all 40 drivers from across the country into one place. We do have other tools that can work with that, like virtual tools, but I haven't found that works very well. So you have to put the legwork in and actually sit yourself down in a chair in their driver room or wherever the drivers come in to pick up their loads, and you know, talk with them one-on-one and get the HR manager or the safety manager or the owner on board as far as just telling them, I want you to talk to this guy. He's going to show you a program that we have that I think will interest you. So that's my process.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Got my camera on real quick. Make sure I am that. All right. So, well, first of all, before I ask you the first question, did I hear you say? Did I hear you say? You said to the safety manager, if your employees like paying $50 a month.
Yep.
So you just so you took the $50 TVC plan that they're paying $50 for and just said, hey, you know what? Y'all must like paying $50 a month. So let me just bundle y'all up and sell y'all the CDLP and the family legal. Is that pretty much what you did?
That's pretty much what I do. And if they insist on the TVC, then I'll ask them a question. I say, well, why do you get the TVC plan? Was it for the fuel card program that they have? Or was it for the roadside assistance that they have? And of course, if they're a company driver, they don't need any of those. I'll say, well, why are you paying extra for that stuff? We deal only with legal matters. We don't have those extra things you don't necessarily need. But if you like paying that kind of money, we'll give you something for all of your legal needs, not just tickets.
Gotcha. So for you, typically, the amount of time it took you to close that group, to follow up and stuff on that group, was it the same average as you normally do? Or was it any different? Was there any process that was different with this particular group as opposed to any other group that you've opened up?
No, most of them take a long time. It's not the first visit or first conversation. This took a number of phone calls, a number of visits. She never goes to me when I called her back, but she was always a little skeptical. She was always just not quite sure, but she knew her drivers had a membership already because she's actually sent me the list of the drivers and the memberships they had. And so I just told her, well, there's a need for it. Your drivers have it. Let's make you the hero and save them $240 a year at least with the same membership or same type of membership. And let me talk to them, and we'll help them with with other issues too. And I brought up the things like immigration because they are dealing with that. The owners are dealing with that too. What happens when they get a driver that they get singled out, they get stereotyped, out there. And when they do, what happens the next thing they're on the plane back to Pakistan or Somalia or India. I've had that happen to some associates that I signed up that were here, not associates, but members that signed up for membership to help with immigration issues. And they made some foolish decisions and ended up getting sent out of the country.
Gotcha. And I have some more questions, but I'm also going to try to keep up with this chat down here. Jackie Hamilton asked, is there ever a time when you go 2 days, I guess in a row, to get everybody covered?
In the beginning, especially, like this one is my first day tomorrow. I'm going to probably go there again another day this week because this company's 120 miles away. I won't go there twice in a row, but I'll go twice this week. I'll ask them because they'll know when their drivers are coming back, or a majority of the drivers are coming back. And then usually what happens, and when you start signing up some drivers, the word will spread, that they got this membership and they like it, or especially after they use it for the first time. And I need to stress also too that when you're offering this membership and you're selling it to drivers, you have to answer your phone if they're called, because they're going to call you first, especially if you have a card. Like, I got a ticket. What do I do? They didn't download the app. They didn't read the directions in the membership kit, and they don't know how to contact their attorney, even though we gave them all that information. So you have to be available to them, because they will call you and they're going to need help using it the first time or first couple times.
Gotcha. So when it comes to closing, using this Zoom as an example, and Sharanda, if you have any questions, just jump in or let me know. I got you pinned on here up front, but I know you back there. When you go in to close like this group as opposed to any other group that you're closing, and of course you can use this one as an example, because that's always one of the questions. Like when we asked that question, I think the second week this year on this training, a lot of people wanted to know about closing, like the actual closing that deal. I mean, going out talking to all these companies and calling and sending stuff and what do you send and all this. But what about closing this company? So how was your close on this company compared to your regular closing? Is it always kind of just a little same little circle of things that you do to close, or does it kind of go outside those boundaries sometimes?
This one was a little bit different because when I found out the HR safety manager had a legal shield membership from Primerica, that and she was, she actually went in and told the owner's wife that, I had this membership, I've used it and it works. That probably took another couple of weeks off of the close, but it would have taken probably a couple more weeks to get that closed. But it was just a matter of keeping in touch, maybe sending some more information, just a little different information, and then making an appearance there and talking to the husband, and maybe talking to a driver or two before it was a group to show them what the membership was and to see if they would like to have something like that. And then I've done that before with other groups where I would talk to drivers before they became a group, and I would go into the owner and say, I've talked to so and so, and he'd like to get this membership. So I'd like to offer it to them through your company for a couple of reasons. One, they get it for a discount, and the second reason is because we put an amendment in there that they can never ever use it against your company. You're giving them access to a transportation attorney and a whole law firm for all their legal issues.
Gotcha. And I was going to ask you something else about the close. It just slipped my mind.
Well, you have to have paperwork ready too. You have to go in with the paperwork. Like I said, I sent her, 2 or 3 group application forms, 2 or 3 business, applications, and actually she filled out the business application first. And when she did that, then I took that information and filled out the group application form with everything but her signature. And I said, okay, well, I filled out everything. All you gotta do is sign this, and we can start talking to the drivers and let her know I can't talk to the drivers until you sign this.
Gotcha. And I'm gonna come back to that, what you just said too. That's gonna be my next question, so I can keep it in line. But I remember what I was gonna say. It wasn't the close. You said that situation with the person with the membership through Primerica, and nobody get lost on that. That's not important. The Primerica legal plan memberships don't get caught up into asking what is that about. No, it's not about nothing. It's just another company that closed you to. You said it cut a couple of weeks off, maybe to close it, and you said when you do your closings, when you're waiting, it's like sometimes you just send them more stuff. So for the people listening, again, we talk about this all the time, what to send. Everybody's got different answers on what they send, but real time. What was you sending this group? You are in the process of talking to them, you're trying to close them, you're following up. So what particularly were you sending this company?
Okay, well, the order that I was sending them in was, of course, my first visit was the orange sheet, that talks about the data queues, their own SMS report, an example of what it looks like with another company that is actively having success with that. When they told me that, well, actually, I told them that their drivers had probably a membership already, and it's probably TVC, because that's been my experience with almost every company you call on, especially if they're a Punjabi company or Indian company. Then I gave, the next time was a comparison, so I can show them the comparison. And then they said, a lot of times they will say, well, I'm going to talk to my drivers and see if they're interested. And then I would send them the survey, because I know in the survey it's designed to get yes answers. And if they have the TVC membership already, and that's actually one of the questions on it, is that do you have a legal plan membership with TVC or somebody similar now? And then the second question is, have you ever paid more to use it? So those are the first 2 questions they're probably going to answer yes to if they've ever had to use it, and if they haven't. And then the next time I would do that, I would probably send some information about, truckers entering into an area. Social unrest is a favorite form that I have. When they go into an area of unrest, what's happening. Lately, everybody's seen the news in Memphis. If you got a driver driving around that area, and if they got a crowd that is protesting what happened over there, the driver might find himself in a bad area. So I'm just trying to show them that I'm here to be a friend, to useful information, keep your driver safe. We don't want them to to encounter any danger. In the summertime, I'll send them something about drivers and heat exhaustion. I got a thing for drivers and accidents, nuclear accidents. A lot of the stuff was what Randy Hooker was supplying earlier, and when he was on the calls quite a bit. But I've also subscribed to a lot of these trucking magazines that they get, and you get a lot of information from that, and then you'll create your own information, from that. Like recently, they announced that they raised the price of all the fines to keep up with inflation. But of course, truck drivers aren't making any more money. So that's something that would interest them. Also, too, is that don't find yourself paying the fine. Fight. You should start fighting for anything and everything that goes against your CSA score, and our program is the one that'll do that. So it's just basic little little conversations. I don't bug them every day. It's like maybe twice a week or once a week. And if I'm in the area, I'll stop in and make a presence again, and maybe see if I catch a driver, or maybe happen to catch the wife when she's there. But I talk to the safety manager all the time when I was there, and it's a very good relationship. Keep it very professional but very friendly. And if I have to leave her another form, I'll leave her another form. I say, well, we get that form signed. Let's get this one. Let's try it again.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So along those lines of what you're talking about right now, and I think we may have mentioned this last week, but of course, hearing the same thing over and over again sometimes helps us move forward. So 80% information, 80% information education and 20% sales. So content is king, guys. And when I say content is king, that means as independent business owners, independent associates, however you label yourself, everything that you get is not going to be from Legal Shield. Does that make sense? Especially in the CDL space. Legal Shield doesn't create any content for the CDL space. Like as things are changing in the marketplace and in the field, like things like you're not going to get things. Legal Shield is not making flyers for those changes, is what I'm saying. So like for instance, Clark Burton, I don't know if Clark Burton's on right now. And Michael, I'm gonna get to your question here in a second. Clark Burton always sends me text messages with links because he is connected to sites that send information saying this changed in the CDL space, that changed in the CDL. They're upping fines. They're pulling trucks in this area, whatever the case may be. Why is this important? It's important because you can take the little things that are being sent to you and you can send pieces of that to companies just to stay in contact with them. Staying in contact with the person is not always saying, are you ready to buy yet? Sometimes it's just giving them information because what's a reminder is that you sent them an email. So John was one of my customers that I was trying to, prospects that I was trying to make a customer. And I met with them a couple of times, but they haven't made a decision yet. And I'm going through this process with them, right? Sometimes I get him, sometimes I don't. Sometimes he's busy, sometimes he's not, but he hasn't made a decision. If I see an email come in from one of the websites that I'm subscribed to that sends me something saying what he said, hey, citations are going up. Right? The cost of citations is going up. I am going to just copy and paste maybe a small paragraph of that. And then I'm going to send an email to John and say, hey, this is done by our Living Legacy Benefits Group. I'm just sending you a quick email just in case. I know you're getting flooded with emails. I wanted you to be aware of this just in case you didn't see this. Maybe you need to talk to your guys at the next safety meeting or whatever the case may be, but they are raising citations. So these guys really need to be aware of what they're doing. Just wanted to make sure you had that. And then boom, that's it with the signature on the bottom. You don't have to attach nothing. Legal Shield, you don't have to attach anything for them to fill out and sign. You don't have to start talking to them about the membership. You don't have to do any of that. Just send them that. Sometimes it's just an email that goes out to a person and then them getting the email from you reminds them, right? So you can, and what would you put in that subject line, right? Citations increasing. Beware, citations increasing, something like that, to make him or her open that up. In this case, it's John, so it's him. He opens up that email, he reads it, right? I gave him some good information, insightful information that might be helpful to his company. That sticks in the back of his mind. That is prospecting and following up as well. It's not always about, every conversation does not have to be an actual Legal Shield membership conversation. I'm enroll them in a group conversation. This membership is going to help you from, that doesn't have to be the conversation. Sometimes it's just a conversation. Sometimes it's just an informative email about their industry. So we have to keep that in mind when we're prospecting, not to throw Legal Shield in the sense where we think every time we follow up, Legal Shield has to be in the conversation. Sometimes have an industry conversation with somebody, and that'll help. Now, the survey that you mentioned, John, that's on the Facebook page, right? You said about the survey, sending the survey out.
All right, permission and then on the Facebook page, yes. And then also wanted to follow up with that too, is that because the trucking industry is changing on a daily basis. I mean, you just might hit them on the right day when something's happening. And that's the reason for the follow-up, because it happens quite fast, in the trucking business, where driver gets in an accident, the driver gets a bad ticket. The story I'm going to share, such that story later on, I'm going to share, is going to open your eyes a little bit as far as what's happening to some of the drivers and trucking companies that are just paying for something they shouldn't be paying for.
You will hear plenty of testimonies on here of it happening to people. Sharanda normally mentions this on a weekly basis. All it takes is for Teresa, right, to be calling John, sending John information. John seems like he's ready to go, but he hasn't gone yet, right? And then one of John's guys gets a citation. But guess what? Right? Kurt Spencer is also prospecting the same company, or they see that company because they live in that area, and they stop by there and talk to that company. And then Kurt Spencer sends an email and say, hey, just giving you a heads up, citations are going up. They just raised the citations. Teresa West hasn't sent anything to this person in a week. Now, one of John's drivers just got a citation yesterday. He didn't look at the price of that citation yet. He gets an email from Kurt that says citations are going up. Now John looks at that citation and see that the price is going up. Now John emails Kurt back and say, hey, not really sure who you are, but you missed up our citations going up. Do you know why? Can you give me a call? Kurt calls John. Kurt closes John on a CDLP group, and he's only on his second contact because Teresa's been talking the whole time, but Teresa's not following up properly. And what happens? Timing, like John just said. Kurt sends an email about a citation, the price of citations going up. John's guy just got a citation yesterday. Signature says Legal Shield. John don't know the difference between Kurt and Teresa. He don't know that they're independent associates for the same company. He just knows the email, a company phone that sells a legal program. You guys follow that? Put a 4 in the chat if that makes sense. That's how quickly it goes down. That's why it's important to continue to follow up. And that's why it's important to have your own separate company and operate as a Legal Shield associate or PPLSI associate through that company, so that you have a separate signature and people won't necessarily know, right, be able to say y'all are the same thing. You're actually isolating yourself, even though you offer the same product and service on that on that side. Sharanda?
I just wanted to comment on that because that's very true, because talking to carriers every day, like John said, we have to realize that these people get a lot of emails, right? Not that they open them, but some of them do catch their eye. They may not respond to them, but they do catch their eye. Especially that email that continues to come in from the same company. And these companies, these guys aren't very, they're not, very educated on realizing that the companies are different. And just like he said, if you're not connecting with them often, but you're prospecting, but you're trying to call, and emails are important, because the moment that driver gets a ticket and they open that email that day, if it's not you, John looks just like you, because that email they're gonna think about that email that keeps coming through. Or maybe that text message that keeps coming through. We have to realize that fanatical prospecting, you can text, especially in this industry, you can text all day. You can set up you a texting campaign. But I see it more often than I would like to. And I hear a lot of associates, in their follow-up, it's not tight. And so therefore somebody else comes in and close the group. I mean, I field train a lot of people, and it's disheartening for me to field train somebody with the prospect and the associate isn't properly following up. Another associate calls and wants me to close a group. and it's the group that I might have talked to for somebody else weeks, weeks ago or a month ago. And I feel bad. Now I have stopped it. I have like interceded between it and say, you know what? But then I had to realize, oh well, your game, the other associate game isn't good with follow-up. And I can't stop the person who's actually doing follow-up to kill that sale because they've been putting in the work or they connected with the person at the right time. Because I mean, yeah, we all look alike on paper, but the thing about us is from these other companies, when we start to do like, they're saying the email marketing, bringing value to the customer remember that, eventually you'll get a sale or a referral out there. So I realize that that's important because if we're only calling, we can't call but so many people, and then we can't follow up with so many people on the phone. So you got to have some other method, but you have to stay relevant to the people, because if you don't, somebody like a John Hoffman who has a good marketing strategy, or like Dunbar said, Clark Burton got a good strategy going. I know it's a lot of associates that are tapping into fanatical prospecting with emails, text messages, phone calls. So, and these people, they're gonna build a relationship with who they see the most. So that's why they're so trustworthy of these other companies like TVC, because they see them in truck stops or wherever they see them at, and so they trust that because that's what they know. But if you keep showing up in front of them, they'll start to trust you.
And that's where we're different than TVC, because when we get a call from a driver, we can call the attorney directly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure TVC has that type of link where they can access the attorney service because they have their attorneys assigned to them from their corporate office, not from a law firm that I'm aware of.
Right.
So that's where we're quite different. But that's just half the battle, because servicing the group is the other half of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a lot of associates that I've worked with, that I feel trained with, that we open a group and then it was hard to get, and then you don't see them anymore. They're gonna drop off, and there's still plenty of potential there. So servicing it and managing it is an important part of it too, because things change in that group. Safety manager changes, and all of a sudden he says, well, I have no idea what this legal shield is, so he's not going to stop referring drivers to you. And that happened to me just last week. I got to follow up with my large 600 truck company. I actually got to kind of do over with that, because we got some excitement in the beginning and kind of died off after a little bit. And then they have a new guy there, and now he's never heard of Legal Shield. And I'm going to go there actually tomorrow and present a little program to him again, like it was a new group. And I'm actually going to ask him for an office space in his office, because it's such a large company. I'm going to say, I want to even maybe rent a desk space where I can sit down and you just steer the drivers over to me and then let me do the talking. You don't have to do anything.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's what, if TVC, they just have just the 800 number. And especially when you tap into a company and that's what they have, that's because if you ask the questions, they'll tell you they don't really know what the plan does. Or they really talk about the fuel card coverage that comes with it. But when it comes to violations, they'll tell you quick, oh, I didn't know it did that, and things like that. But I tell them the great thing about who we are is that they have a personal consultant who we are, the associate that works with you in the law firm. I think unless Valerie out of New Jersey, she used the word, we're like liaisons with the law firm, and so they don't get that with most of these other plans, right? They don't get a personalized person to work with them. And that's what I think where we bring the difference in the value, because like John said, if you really coach them well enough, you'll tell them, call me, versus sitting there trying to figure it out, or don't call anybody, or So if they'll call you and say, hey, I got this ticket, you can work with them to make sure they connect to the law firm and how that process goes. So good customer service.
And I want to come back to that too. I want to come back to that customer. I'm going to ask this question for Michael, then I'm going to come back to this customer service thing, because that's something that we need to talk about here before we close out, because it's really important. So just kind of keep y'all thoughts on that, John and Sharanda. I want to ask this question real quick. Michael asked how, and John, this question was to you. I mean, I guess we can all answer it, but he was asking it to you because you were talking about your group you opened. How many groups do you deal with at the same time? And how do you arrange to avoid conflict in schedule?
Well, this time of year is very difficult because Legal Shield wants you to service all the groups at least annually and twice annually. I've got over 60 groups. Most of them are CDLP groups. And it's just a matter of staying in touch and writing a report on it. You have to write a report on your back office and you're also engaged, that you engage the group and how you're getting more memberships there. But it is work. It's not easy. So that's why if you put the initial work in, it's silly not to follow up on it, because Legal Shield will take it away from you if you're not servicing it. And that's the worst thing that can happen is, you do all the hard work, get the group opened up, and all of a sudden you don't service it, they're going to assign it to somebody else. And then they get to go in and try and establish that relationship. And then even prospecting companies too. I mean, that can backfire on you too. Every time they have a CDLP training, I kind of hold my breath, because there's a lot of new associates that get real brave and like to walk into a lot of companies at once. And they walked into one company that I was nurturing along. It was like they said to come back after the first of the year, and he wanted to talk to me. And that week I happened to walk in. He said 4 of the Legal Shield associates came in, and he was tired of us and don't come back again. So then you just have to shake your head and go, oh, well, just put that one on the back burner and hit him again, watch his scores and send him an email, because he said, I want to do it with emails now. Don't make a personal visit. So you have to be very respectful and very, polite. I'm not sure how the other associates were when they went there, but be professional when you go in to talk to these trucking companies, because you might be reading something for somebody else though too. That's you have to be very, very careful. And that's happened before when I walked in a group that was a group of somebody else's already. And you say, well, I'm glad you made that decision, and I know they're taking good care of you.
No, that's good. Good. And Michael, I hope that answers your question. And something else too, I'll add to that is, guys, like, I deal with a lot of people in different industries as a business coach. I deal with people in network marketing, insurance agents, whatever. Part of this is about being organized. If you got several groups and you're not organized, then you're going to drop the ball, right? Which goes into, customer service. You're going to drop the ball. So part of not having scheduling conflicts is I use something called Acuity. And you guys can use Acuity, or you can use Calendly. Calendly is free. So I would suggest if you're on a budget, which most of us are, to use Calendly, because that allows you to schedule things. And if you're scheduling things and you're looking at your calendar and right now, and you color code things, it will allow you to not have appointments bumping. It would allow you to know what slots you have left to do things, and it'll allow you to have the person that you're trying to go see to schedule what's based on their schedule and what's based on yours. So I would suggest that as business owners, if you're doing a lot, especially a lot more B2B stuff, which obviously if you're on this Zoom, you're doing B2B, when you get into that, we've got to start picking up some tools to make our business go, because we calling ourselves business owners, but we're not acting as if, right? And so if you're calling and scheduling everything and putting it on your calendar, you're doing it. That's like you still riding around with a horse and buggy when they got cars nowadays. Like, you're just taking too long to run your business that way, and you're leaving it up to too many manual mistakes. You should be electronically scheduling things, and you should have notifications letting you know in the beginning of the week. I've got these people to follow up on this week. I've got these people to visit this week. That should be a system that you're setting up, not through Legal Shield software, through your own software. That should be you running your business with that stuff, and they have that stuff. Asana is free. Calendly is free. So it's not a money thing. You don't have to have some money to put into it. These are products that you can use for free. Asana's Task Manager, I've been using it for 11 years for free.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Calendly is free. I mean, they have a free, well, it's limited, but once you understand the power of using it, then paying $8 a month to have it, it's going to be worth it to you, right? So just make sure you understand those things. On the customer service conversation that Sharena was going into and that John was going into, how many of you guys, either by a show of hands or drop a 6 in the chat, have bought something, haven't heard from the company after you bought it, and you saying, now I bought this product, I ain't got an email from them, a phone call, nothing, and you feeling like some type of way about that, right? Put a 6 in the chat. You're like, I bought something, but I really didn't get anything saying that I bought it. I didn't, nobody sent me an email. I didn't get a call from anybody. I didn't nothing, right? If that's happened to you, put a 6 in the chat. Right? And I only see 4 6s, and I know better than that, right? So we want people to follow up on us when we buy stuff, but then we sell Legal Shield to them and we don't follow up on them. We sell it and then we look for the next group to go into. I can't count on my hand how many times I've been talking to an associate on the phone and they're frustrated because they had to help a client through something. I'm like, isn't that why you sell this? I'm like, the whole point of you selling this membership is to help. That was your pitch. We help you get through this. We help you get through that. Our membership, we better than everybody else. You do all this pitching, and then as soon as somebody call you, you don't even want to deal with it. Why did this call law firm? Because you told them that you was the go-between. You told them that you was your agent. You sold them on this dream, and then now you act like you don't want to talk to them. Customer service gets you more customers. Mm-hmm. Customer service helps you retain your customers. Doing business is not just selling the membership, it's following up. It's sending emails afterwards. It's saying, do you know about this? Do you know about that? So going back, I saw Clark Burton post something here just a second ago on here. He made a comment here that's important, which is when you're going out, when you're sending things out, whether it's a group you're trying to open or a group you already open. Remember I said 80-20, 80% information, 20% sales? The 80% should be you giving them something that's important to them. Not important to you. And don't slick yourself by telling yourself because you letting them know the benefit of PPLSI that that's beneficial to them. That's beneficial to you because you try to sell them something so you can make some money. What I mean is you should be sending them information that helps them in their industry 80% of the time. And the other 20% is when you're trying to sell the product to them. That's how you prospect. That's how you follow up. And when you close the deal, the email shouldn't stop. When you close the deal, the customer service shouldn't stop. Even if you have it on your schedule to send an email once a month that says, hey, Mr. Amos, this is Robert Dummer. I'm just shooting you a quick email to make sure all your guys are good. Did anybody get any citation violations? Does anybody need to speak to me about calling an attorney? Because you may find out normally, you know what, I've been meaning to email you for the last 2 weeks, man. I got a guy got a ticket and he hadn't done anything about it. I told him to call you and I wanted to check and see if he called you. You hadn't heard from him? No. What's his name? Just give me his name. I can pull him up in my system and I'll give him a call. Does that make sense? Sometimes we have to like proactively make sure that our business is running correctly. And we fall into this trap sometimes that we think that's Legal Shield's job. That's PPLS's job to make sure that our members are getting stuff. No, those are our members. That we enrolled into PPLSI's system, but then we want them to take care of them. And then when we get mad at PPLSI, oh, they're my customers. Them your customers when you're mad, but then it's their customers when it's time to service and follow up and do all this other kind of stuff. That's not how business owners operate. So we need to look more at customer service and how we're prospecting, what we're sending out, and how we're really looking at the best, putting our customers and our prospects in the best situation to work with us, not put them in a situation where we close them and then we disappear, right? So that's really, 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 really important for people to understand as you start to build these groups up. So, John Schrader?
Yeah, that's why it's so important to get them to use the attorney right away as soon as you can, if possible, to make that first phone call so you can see how easy it is. Because then you probably won't get that phone call once you help them make the first one. But it's always the first one they have to make is when they're confused. They don't know how to do it. Especially when you saw a small business plan, they're spending over $2,000 a year for their service, and the first time they try to figure out how to use it, and they botch it, because they'll botch it. They won't ask the right questions. They won't have the right format. They won't write their questions down in advance. And it's a little bit of a teaching mode. You have to teach them how to use the membership. And once you get that done the first couple of times, then they get it.
Yeah, and also I saw Tuan Monroe asked, do you educate the drivers on how to use the app when they need access to the law firm? And I, like John just said, you know, helping them make that first phone call. What I found, I don't focus on the app. I mean, just think about how many times it hadn't worked for you. And these people, a lot of them just aren't techie savvy out there. And the moment you try to incorporate that, like you say, especially before they make that first dial, you know, you so focused on that app, and that app, when that app doesn't work, now you got a mad customer. So my deal, I always try to make that phone call. Everybody got to dial a phone, you know, and those drivers, you know, it has to be simple to, I found it has to be very simple for them. You know, because they're not used to calling a law firm and all that. And I call with them. I don't care how many times they've called, but focusing on that app, we might get to that, but that's not my focus. My focus is for them to call into the law firm and know how that works. But, you know, eventually down the road, we might talk about the app and all that, but I can't get wrapped up in that because a lot of them, I mean, they got smartphones, but they ain't trying to do all that. That's what I've seen with clients.
And Sharanda, what I do too with that too, because I'm on the same page you are with that. I do talk about the app to my clients, but this is something that I do that to me works a little bit better, because I don't care what's new. I don't care what's trendy. You got to do what your customer needs to get to the next step. Is that fair? Everybody put a 7 in the chat. That makes sense. This is something that I do because it's always a lot cleaner. If Cynthia contacts me with an issue and says, hey, blah, 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 I say, do you have the number for the law firm? If Cynthia says no, I used to say, let's get the app downloaded. I don't do that anymore. Not because the app is not important, but because now we're starting to complicate something that with somebody that's already frustrated about something. Mm-hmm. It's a leadership situation they laugh. So what I have in my phone is the law firm is in my phone as a contact. And guess what is easier for me to do? Share the contact right from my phone to their phone. Now they've got the address, they've got the name of the law firm, they've got the phone number, and all you're doing is pushing one button to do that. Now say, hey, I'm about to share something with you. I'm gonna share the information for the law firm. Send it to them, they got it. If you got that situation because you sharing it on Apple and they on Android, then just give them the information, text it to them, whatever you need to do, right? But make sure they have it. When you can share it contact to contact, it's good because then they can save it directly to their phone. Now they've always got that law firm in their phone, even if they can't get into the app. Because now you're dealing with, I can't find my password, I can't do this, I can't do that. And nobody wants to deal with all that stuff when they've been pulled over. Nobody wants to deal with all that when they feel like they got a citation for nothing. Nobody wants to look for a password. So if you just say, hey, the first thing I do is I get them on the phone with the law firm so that they can calm down. I say, do you have the number, right? I ask them, do they have the number or do they have the app or whatever? If they say no, let's get them on the phone with the law firm first. Hold on, let me call the law firm real quick. Get them on the phone, get them calmed down, and then make sure they have the information for the next time. Does that make sense, everybody? So you gotta understand what customer service is to people, because when people are in the heat of the moment like that, whether they right or wrong, what they want is service. They want service. And they want it immediately, and they don't want nobody talking about, oh, yeah, well, I talked to you about the app when I came by there. They don't care about that, about what you said at the enrollment. They got a ticket in front of them, and they want to deal. And that's how you have to deal with that. You have to be a customer service rep, be empathetic to whatever they're going through, even if they're wrong. Even if they're wrong, you got to still be empathetic and get them through that process. And that's what being that customer service rep is about. Sharanda, John?
No, exactly. The only time I usually get them to get the app on is when I visit them again. If I happen to be sitting in the driver room enrolling new drivers, an old driver will show up that has a membership, and I'll say, "You deactivate your app already," because they don't and not, or about member perks, or they don't know what else is there. That's when I'll get them activated on it. But I always have my business card with my phone on it. The back of it, I got Alan Roman's suggestion, put a label with attorney number on it. Of course, the membership kit has got the attorney number on it. And they even have the temporary member cards in that kit that has the attorney on it. So we give them all kinds of ways to talk to the attorney, let alone sending them the link from your phone directly to it, or even getting on a three-way call with them on the phone with you. Just say, hang on, I'll get the attorney on the phone right now. I'll help you with the first phone call, make sure it goes the way it's supposed to go.
Absolutely. And send them a message afterwards. And I know this sounds like a lot, but guess what, guys? You're doing business, right? If you don't want to have to do all of these things, then just get a 9 to 5 and just do your 9 to 5, and just when you get off, do whatever you want to do with your time. And I'm being brazen when I'm saying that, because there's too many of us that want to be business owners, but we don't want to do what business owners have to do. I follow up, I do customer service, right? If Taiwan sent me a message and I sent him to the law firm, and whether I make a three-way call with him or not, when it's all said and done, guess what else I'm gonna do, right? Even if it's the next day. Hey, Taiwan, did the law firm call you back? Is everything good? Do you need anything else? I'm gonna message him and ask him that question. Most of the time, he's gonna say no. But the fact of the matter is, what that person is saying is, you checked up on me. You checked up on me. And if you're not willing to do that, when you're offering a service that will pay you forever, then you're not really interested in being in business. Because a lot of people sell stuff that don't pay them forever. You got insurance agents selling products all day long that don't pay them forever, and they have to follow up the same way. So you're selling something that's going to pay you as long as they're on the books. So I would really consider, hey, look, what do I need to do? If you got 3 calls today, which is probably rare unless you got a lot of groups, then write that person's name down on your little sticky pad or wherever you write things at, and say, make sure I follow up on this guy. To make sure he had a good experience with the law firm. Yes, they're gonna get an email with feedback and all that kind of stuff, but you know what? What do you do when it comes to you? Do you answer the Legal Shield feedback thing? Most of y'all don't either. So you think your customers doing it? They're not. You got people who answer them things. Those are just special kind of people that answer those things. Most of us don't answer them things. So just text them. Hey, how was your experience? Is everything good? Do you need me to give you a call? That alone makes that person feel so much better. And think about all the services that you had. If whenever you had a challenge, you got a text from your cell phone company, from your car dealership, from your internet service, from your mortgage company, your rental company, whatever, asking you, was your last situation resolved? You'll be excited if you got that. So just understand that customer service goes a long way, and that is what gets you referred. That's what gets people to call, to give your information to their brother and sister and other truck drivers and other trucking companies. That's how you manage to pull that off. Kurt Spencer, did you have a question? Or did you put your hand up by mistake?
I was just showing a clap that I'm agreeing with you. Spot on. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, good stuff, man. Good stuff, brother. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And also word will spread both ways on that too, because if you give them help with it, they're going to tell other drivers about it. Said, yeah, I got this. And when I needed help, they were there to help me. If you're not there, word will spread the opposite way too. And what do they say? It takes for every one good compliment you get, for every one bad compliment you get, it takes 10 good ones to make up for it.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, we know bad information. It'll travel the moon 5 or 6 times before good information will. So if you're not doing good customer service, you're gonna lose business faster than you would ever gain it doing good customer service. So I'm telling you, do good customer service. And if you get to a limit and you say, I can't keep doing this, you better get to a virtual assistant or stop opening groups. I don't know what to tell you, but you got to get yourself in a position where you can service the people that you have. Because if you don't take care of what you have, guess what? It's not going to grow. And if it does, it's going to fall apart. And some of y'all have done that in other areas of your life. Get something and don't take care of it and watch what happens to it. Right? So it's the same thing with your business and your customers. That's earned business. You gained that business, you wrote it, they're gonna pay you for life. Make sure you're able to take care of those customers that you have so that you get more customers just from you particularly doing that. So guys, hopefully, I see you, Clark. You said home office gonna give your group to another associate. And they will. They will. Believe me, they will. And they're not doing it to hurt you, they're doing it to help their branding. They want to make sure that their customers are having a good experience as much as they can. So It's 9:43, guys. I know we've been on for longer than we should be. I know you guys got other stuff going on. Sharonda, John, y'all got anything to leave us with?
I want to see, do I have time to share that success story really quickly? They
Oh,
can
yeah, go
use.
ahead.
Okay. So I got this one group at Small Business Plan. They got a driver who got an overweight ticket. When he got this load, they got it from a broker, and they dispatched a driver pick up a load. And he was only allowed to back up to the dock. They're not allowed on the dock because of insurance issues. So this warehouse loaded this heavy load on this truck, and they secured it inside the trailer. And when they closed the door and they sealed it because they don't want anybody, tampering with the cargo in there. So the driver had no idea what was on his truck. Well, he had an idea what was on the truck, was on the bill of lading, but he didn't know how it was loaded, how well it was secured, because it was sealed. He promptly, after he got his load, went to a scale like he's supposed to get a weight to make sure that the load is properly dispersed on the axles like it's supposed to be. And when he crossed the state line, he had to go to a scale, and he found out that his load had shifted because it was not secured properly. So he got an overweight ticket because all the load went crashing to the front of the trailer, actually damaged the front of the trailer too. So they opened the seal. The law department opened the seal, looked inside, and found out that the load had shifted, and they gave him a ticket for overweight. He got that ticket. Fine was $2,900. It wasn't even his fault at all. But most companies, when they get the ticket, they just think it's their responsibility. It's not the driver's fault, so they'll pay that ticket. But not only that, before the driver could move, he was put out of service because it was overweight. So the broker that assigned the load to this company to pick up the load had to send out somebody to reposition the load on the trailer, and they charged that company, the transportation company the driver worked for, $2,500 to reposition that load. Again, it wasn't their fault. Why are they responsible? So their attorney, their law firm attorney, went to court because he had a defense to fight that overweight ticket. But their business plan attorney also sent a demand letter to the broker that sent out that person to reposition the load to get a refund on that $2,500. Because most of the companies, they just absorb that. They just pay that. They don't know how to fight it. In order to get the truck on the road again, they had to do what they had to do. But that's a story how you can use both the commercial driving plan and the business plan together, how they work hand in hand together with a lot of these companies. Because most of the drivers, they don't know what they're picking up, but they have to do to make themselves legal by going to a scale to make sure that it's right. But things happen while they're driving. If it's not secured properly, or maybe they have to make a little bit of a hard stop, things shift, and before you know it, they find themselves in trouble. And what happens if that company doesn't pay that original $2,900 fine for overweight? The driver's got to pay for that, because he's going to get pulled over one day and get put out of service for a failure to appear or didn't pay that fine. So we can help these companies fight those. That's a non-moving violation, by the way, but our attorneys will help them with that also too. But also the company did help on that same ticket because they got charged, falsely for someone to have it come to reposition the load on it and resecure it so they can continue on their way. All right, well, that's in a nutshell pretty much how we use both memberships to help that one company.
No, that's good. That's a good success story. And again, guys, this is recorded. It's on YouTube already because we're running live. So if you need to listen to that story again, so you can take down some notes on some of his primary points, John's primary points there, so you can use that. Because again, you can always use other people's success story to help close your deal, right? If you're trying to bundle that small business plan and that CDL groups situation together, that's a good success story that you can use to do that. So hopefully that's beneficial to everybody. John, if you don't mind mentioning one more time the training you got coming up with
It's coming up Saturday, February 11th. I've been field training with some associates that are in other states, and they want to know how I get my prospects. So because I already have a list of them, I gladly send them a spreadsheet format, and I populate it with about a dozen companies on there. There's some associates on this call that I've done that with to help them along the way. But then I teach deeply in how to find companies, how to look for them, the people that need to talk to us, not just go blindly into companies and try and create a conversation with them, but to see these companies that are having issues with their drivers or DOT violations or audits, because those are the ones that I consider low-hanging fruit. Those are the ones that should invite us in and want to hear our story and what we do. February 11th.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. February 11th. And Sharanda, anything?
No, good training. But definitely get on John. John has a good training, so you definitely want to get on that training. So hope you guys get registered. If you have any issues with registration, make sure you email corporate. They have had some technical difficulties, so for your new associates as well. So if you have any trouble with any of the training platforms on registration, make sure you email corporate in a timely manner, not the day of the training. Email them so they can give you the other options on how to get in the training. But definitely don't wait to the day of the training and start trying to figure out, can you get on the training? Because probably not. But like they are having some technical difficulties, so just be aware of that. So don't just keep trying and trying. Email corporate and let them know you're having difficulty so they can get you in the training.
All right, good stuff. And don't forget Sharanda's Thursday night call. If you want to get caught up or not caught up, but involved in the Thursday accountability call that Sharanda Ivy does, they go to the Facebook page, the CDL Facebook page, and get the information there. Get yourself involved in that if you're a little bit more serious about making those calls and making some things happen there. So guys, appreciate you guys for sticking with us again this week. We will be here again next Monday. John, you gonna say something?
I finished my drink, so I got to go.
Oh, so we're gonna jump off here, and we'll see you guys next Monday. And of course, if you guys need something between time, just go to the Facebook page and take care of it there. Everybody have a great start of your week and a fantastic rest of your day, rest of your evening.
Thank you. Good night. Good night, all.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Appreciate all the thank yous in the comments. You
Good
too.
night.
Thank you guys as well.
Enjoy it.
Appreciate you guys for
Good
hanging.
night, guys. Great training.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good, everybody.
Love this training.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Guys, be safe out
All right,
there.
great training. Thank you.
You're welcome.